Welcome to Ladies of Another View on Beck. Today is a huge news day, and we have Renee with us and Patty, and we're going to have Andrea in from Florida on Zoom. As you know, she winter homes down in Florida, lucky girl, although she's missing the nice North Dakota weather up here in January.
She's losing her backbone, that's what I think.
That's what it is. Anyway, a lot of news to report today. As you know, it is January 6th, and today is the day that the electoral votes were supposed to get counted, or I should say certified. Anyway, so of course Pence was in the process of certifying the votes, and he was in the A alphabet for the states, and of course came to Arizona. And there was an objection by the representative from Arizona stating that he objected to the electoral votes that were submitted. And Vice President Pence then asked him if he had anyone else from the Senate to back him up, and of course he did. So let's take a peek at this video that we have.
President, I, Paul Gosar from Arizona.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Arizona rise?
I rise up for myself and 60 of my colleagues to object to the counting of the electoral ballots from Arizona.
Is the objection in writing and signed by a senator?
Yes, it is.
It is.
So as you saw, there was a standing ovation for this, but what this now means is that they both took a 2-hour break. The House and the Senate then takes a 2-hour break to go ahead and debate it. Now, they don't have to use the entire 2 hours. They can be done in 20 minutes. They can be done in 2 hours. 2 hours is the limit. But as of the time of this recording, there's been all kinds of things going on in D.C. with the march, and there's been some citizens who didn't think they necessarily have to follow the law. And so things are breaking as this show is being recorded. So we will touch on all of that today, hopefully get to all of it. There's a lot of information to be heard and try to understand. But in the meantime, let's take a look at this. This is how Cruz then explained how the House and the Senate can go ahead and debate on this. Take a peek at this, and that'll kind of give you a little insight for that.
But I would urge to both sides perhaps a bit less certitude and a bit more recognition that we are gathered at a time when democracy is in crisis. 17% of Democrats believe the election was rigged. Even if you do not share that conviction, it is the responsibility, I believe, of this office to acknowledge that is a profound threat to this country and to the legitimacy of any administrations that will come in the future. The leaders just spoke about setting aside the election. Let me be clear, I am not arguing for setting aside the result of this election. All of us are faced with two choices, both of which are lousy. One choice is vote against the objection. And tens of millions of Americans will see a vote against the objection as a statement that voter fraud doesn't matter, isn't real, and shouldn't be taken seriously. And a great many of us don't believe that. On the other hand, most, if not all of us, believe we should not set aside the results of an election just because our candidate may not have prevailed. And so I endeavored to look for door number 3, a third option, and for that I looked to history, to the precedent of the 1876 election, the Hayes-Tilden election, where this Congress appointed an electoral commission to examine claims of voter fraud. 5 House members, 5 senators, 5 Supreme Court justices examined the evidence and rendered a judgment. And what I would urge of this body is that we do the same. That we appoint an electoral commission to conduct a 10-day emergency audit, consider the evidence, and resolve the claims. For those on the Democratic aisle who say there is no evidence, they've been rejected, then you should rest in comfort. If that's the case, an electoral commission would reject those claims. But for those who respect the voters, simply telling the voters, go jump in a lake, the fact that you have deep concerns is of no moment to us. That jeopardizes, I believe, the legitimacy of this and subsequent elections. And let me be clear, this objection is for the state of Arizona, but it is broader than that. It is an objection for all 6 of the contested states to have a credible, objective, impartial body hear the evidence and make a conclusive determination. That would benefit both sides. I would urge my colleagues, don't take perhaps the easy path, but instead act together, astonish the viewers, and act in a bipartisan sense to say we will have a credible and fair tribunal, consider the claims, consider the facts, consider the evidence, and make a conclusive determination whether and to what extent this election complied with the Constitution and with federal law.
So I know that was a lot to absorb, but it makes sense. None of us are legal people. We're not attorneys. These are all our opinions, of course. But, you know, he makes an excellent point. If there's nothing wrong, then the Democrats should be happy that this is going on. However, if there is some fraud that went on, and it can be identified and proven with the thousands of affidavits that are out there, the videos, everything else that's going on, then it's only right that we give the people a chance to visit about this. Andrea, I know you're with us. Can you just kind of give us your opinion? You're kind of on top of all of this.
So there's a couple of things that I think are interesting about the fact that this is the senator from Texas who's bringing forward this objection for Arizona. It's the first of several states that are probably going to be objected to. I did also specifically notice Pence's methodical approach to certifying the Electoral College vote. He was moving slowly and deliberately in preparation for expected objections like the one from Senator Cruz. So when Cruz, which was one of the states of the state of Texas, was one of the states that brought a lawsuit against the other states for election irregularities, now he's bringing an objection to the floor, and that's consistency from them. I think that's impressive. The other thing that's important to note is just earlier, Pence is being methodical as he moves through this process, but earlier in the day, he had issued a letter stating that he didn't think it was his in his purview to directly oppose the Electoral College vote. And that was something that people knew. People gathered outside for the march in Washington were aware of that letter had been published, and that's almost the only information that they have at that point in the day. With that many people around, limited cell service. So there's a lot that's happening leading up to this challenge for the state of Arizona's Electoral College votes.
Okay, and we only have about 35, 40 seconds. Do you guys have just a really quick opinion?
Well, yeah, what you brought up about Mike Pence basically going against Trump. You're talking about that, and I thought that was interesting, and Trump went ahead and dissed him, as he is so good at doing them, threw him under the bus, basically calling him a coward. When Mike Pence, I'm not a big Mike Pence fan, but I was proud of him for standing with constitutional principles and the rule of law. And unfortunately, we're seeing what Trump always does, throw his people under the bus if they don't do what he wants them to do.
And again, these are all our own opinions. Patty, got 15 seconds?
I agree with Ted Cruz. I do not see how we can move forward as a united country. And when he said 17% of Democrats think that that there was fraud in the election, unless we stop and figure out what we do now going forward, I don't think we are going to go forward.
Our democracy would be
half
over.
of us will go forward and the other half are going to be like, the hell with it.
So anyway, we got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages on Ladies of Another View on Back.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink for trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Are you a thrill seeker, sightseer, or day tripper? The Ford Bronco Sport SUV is built for you. Four Bears Casino is giving away a 2021 Ford Bronco Sport loaded with a ton of interior space, safari-style roof, smooth suspension for any terrain, and easy-to-clean surfaces. Qualify now just by playing your favorite slots at Four Bears Casino. Double points on Sundays. Also get in on Super Senior Wednesdays, slot turning Thursdays, and hot seats on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Spin into Four Bears Casino and Lodge for chances to win.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Back. As you know, this is a very busy day news-wise. Things are breaking as we speak. And we should back up and say there were about 2 million people that went to D.C., march on D.C. to support the, basically to look at the vote to see whether or not there was any fraud. And of course, most of them are Trump supporters. Now, there's different factions. In fact, there was even a faction from North Dakota, and we'll talk about that in our next segment. But it should be known that today then, when they heard about the letter from Pence that he wasn't going to go ahead and basically, he was going to go ahead and do the Electoral College as the way it's supposed to be done. We get that. Well, that's everything that the people on the ground heard. The cell service is very poor because there's 2 million people there using the cell service and sending videos. And so it's just kind of a big mess of a bunch of people. But in the meantime then, the Capitol did get stormed. We don't know who the people are. Some said they're patriots. We like to say they're citizens because we don't know if these are plants. We don't know who those people are. As we've seen in some of the other areas when there's a protest going on, other paid protesters are sent in to go ahead and disrupt and try to blame it on another party. So we don't know what's going on there. And Andrea, you also had some information on that you wanted to share.
Just that there are at least four separate major groups that are gathering in different portions of DC this morning. There was Trump speaking on the Ellipse this morning south of the White House lawn, and there were a group that were planning to do a Jericho march around the Capitol building. There was a group that was set up to do what they called a freedom rally north of the Capitol, and also another group that was planning to have a wild protest in DC. Probably the one I would have stayed away from, but still, there's tons of people all over the city of DC, all there to oppose the certification of the Electoral College vote and offer their support for President Trump. So that's the expectation, and that's the crowds that are in DC today.
Okay, so let's take a look at the video that we did get out of DC with the storming the Capitol. If we can go ahead and roll that.
Let's go. Hey,
did get inside the Capitol. And so it's scary. It really is. They kept shouting that, what was it? This is our house. What was that phrase? Andrea, you had it.
Whose house? Our house. Whose house?
Okay.
Our house.
And so now you see them inside the Capitol. And there were a few broken windows, but as far as, most people are being very respectful at the moment. I'm surprised to see the Trump or any flag poles, because I thought flag poles, okay, there's the broken glass, and that's all the damage that we have seen so far. I'm not saying there's not more. And then, of course, they had to construct a guillotine out on the Capitol lawn. Another group had put up a big cross. It probably had to have been maybe a 15, 20-foot cross. And now here are people also inside the Capitol, but there is enforcement there trying to hold them back. But anyone with a flagpole was asked to leave the flagpole, so a lot of people just brought the flags themselves and left the poles. But very interesting times in the Capitol. It's scary. It's ridiculous. Ladies?
Well, it's sad. What's really bizarre, I'd like to go back to my original Facebook post in 2016 when I warned that this was going to happen because of who we were electing. And Trump reads this. He has bred this.
Well, I think Obama bred a lot of that.
Well,
I will back
agree.
up. That's where a lot of this division
agree.
started.
I agree too. I was against Obama for 8 years, and I saw another guy just like Obama, just with an R behind his name, and it's like I'm a psychic almost. And a lot of people did warn that this was going to happen, and it's happening.
I'm going to disagree on that. You said you predicted this in 2016 because, first of all, we couldn't have predicted this election fraud. That this is what's going on. This is the anger and the frustration from people in the United States. I mean, we've talked about it every which way. How could you not think there were irregularities in this election? So that's where I think this anger is coming from, and we don't know for sure who this group is. But they're angry, and they're angry about the election. I would guess they're Trump supporters. But as far as the divisiveness, that's what the left was always saying about Trump. They were always accusing him of racism, and yet he brought in more minorities than Republicans have in recent history, maybe ever. Yes, and he was bringing people together that were divided. And I saw a lot of divisiveness from the left, and I would not blame this on Trump. I would say, yeah, we're frustrated because it looks like the election was stolen, and to say, well, he caused this divisiveness, I don't see that you can connect those dots.
I guess watching 4 years of what he's done, basically the most liberal big government policies. And no matter the divisiveness, absolutely, he was the leader of this, in my opinion. And I have been warning my Republican friends that this was coming. And he's a cult leadership.
Oh, come on, Renee.
That
is not true.
Well, that's how I believe.
Okay.
I believe that
I'm
way.
going to stand in the middle. I'm saying, yeah, he is. I mean, there is kind of a cult leadership.
Well, believers,
because we like what he's.
Because
go ahead.
people are so tired of being thrown under the bus and so tired of taking the back seat and so tired of Republicans being the bad guy.
Right.
And we're always the guilty party. But then you see what is done on the left and what they have done in the last 4 years. It's ridiculous. If any Republican would have done that, they would be in jail. But no, these people are held up to high regards, and we make monuments out of these criminals. And now we're going to blame that on Trump. That is not Trump's fault. None of that is Trump's fault.
Let's forget about always pointing to the left. That's the problem.
You're pointing to the right.
We need to start focusing on our party.
Exactly.
We are a big government liberal party led by Trump, who has passed these policies.
We have been led by
and we got to stop looking at the left and start looking at our party. And that's the problem. We keep looking at them when we don't say, let's hold this guy accountable. And now look where we are.
Okay, but no one else is held accountable. Only President Trump has to be held accountable.
No
other government officials need to be held accountable.
We need to hold our people accountable. We need to hold our, and you know what? Trump can get away with murder.
No, he
that guy
can't.
can get
No,
away
he
with
can't.
murder, and
No,
we
that would
say
be the
nothing
Clintons.
about him.
That would be the
He
Clintons.
just signed a huge bill. Everybody's like, yeah, I don't like that. But you know what? They'll vote for him again. Okay? I mean, it doesn't matter what this guy does.
Wait a minute. Look at 2016. Look at the elections. How many people said, I don't like Trump? I said, I like his policies. Why does he have to be so rude sometimes? I don't like that. But I could hear people, I often heard people in the Republican Party criticizing Trump.
I don't care. I'm not looking at his personality. He's got he's a pathological liar. He's got a ton of issues. But I'm looking at his policies. And if you are a conservative, why in the world would you ever vote for this man? He's not a conservative.
What is the opposite? What did we have to choose from?
You know what?
Renee?
We got to
did we have to choose from?
You don't keep rewarding bad behavior. You got to take a stand, just like any other thing that is not right. You got to take a stand against it.
And we have, and we'll be right back after these messages on Ladies of Many Views on Beck.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here were terrific. We enjoy it.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View. As you can see, we're still all here, and we hope you are too.
No punches were thrown during the break. We're okay.
We're all fine. And it's just so upsetting that, there is no right or wrong answer. It's like everyone is very frustrated as to what's going on, and it shouldn't be happening. These are all adults. Sometimes I think many politicians have been in DC for too long. And I know there are people working on maybe some term limits, but the swamp is deep. It's very deep and very wide. And it's not Republicans, it's not Democrats, It is everything. You can look at your school, and there's a swamp in your school. You can look in your church, there's a swamp in the church. And if good people don't stand up to what's going wrong, then it's all for naught. And so we do all have different opinions, and that's great. But something has to change on both sides. But
and can I just make the
absolutely
along that line? I just want to make the point. This isn't about the Republicans losing the election. That is not what this is about.
No, it is not.
It's about a fair election, and about it's too questionable. There's just too much evidence of it being stolen, and that's what this is about. We aren't just saying, oh, we're upset because Trump lost.
No, that's not it at all. Absolutely, it's just. There's too much evidence, there's too many affidavits, there's too much video, there's too many people who have stepped forward who have seen it with their own eyes, and it's being disregarded. That's the part that's frustrating. But we're going to visit a little bit. There was a busload of people from North Dakota that went down there. And Andrea, you know some of the people on that bus. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've heard from the background?
Sure. So there was a large bus that was of people that left North Dakota to go to the rally today. They actually got to DC yesterday with a nearly packed bus, and were able to go to the events last night and also listen to Trump's speech this morning. And now they're in the capital city. Visiting with people, getting to know people, having a good time, I hope, and hopefully staying safe in the midst of the things that are happening in DC while the Electoral College vote was taking place. So they went down there to take that message to the Capitol Hill and say that to object to the Electoral College vote, that was the message that they wanted to take. And I think they were successful in taking that message.
Perfect. All right, so we have a clip here because all of our two senators and our representative, they all made a statement, and we did have Armstrong's on a couple days ago. So let's see this clip from Cramer. Cramer has been a very big supporter of President Trump. So let's take a look at his clip that he released to his North Dakota people.
So pull back the curtain a bit. How did you reach your decision not to object to the certification? I don't think I'm speaking out of turn to say you're somebody who is close with the president. You are considered very loyal to him. What was your decision-making process here?
Yeah, so, Allie, it was brutal, to be honest with you. I mean, I considered lots of things, listened to a lot of North Dakotans, continued to do my talk radio appearances. In fact, we'll do a couple of them right after this show back home. But at the end of the day, there are two things. One is my conscience is captive to God, and my oath is to the Constitution of the United States. With respect to the people that I work for, the people of North Dakota, I've heard from people on both sides, clearly a louder group and probably a majority from the side that wants me to object. But if I can't reconcile that with both my conscience and the Constitution, then my obligation is to the Constitution. In my view, in my reading of the Constitution, I carry my little pocket Constitution around, there is no role for the Congress to object to the electors. In fact, it's quite clear in the 12th Amendment that the role of the Senate and the House in joint session is to count the votes that are presented by the states. I've spent 8 years in Congress fighting principally for states' rights. So for me, while it wasn't an easy emotional decision, is intellectually a fairly easy decision for me. Coming from a small red state, the Electoral College is really, really important to us, and I'd hate to have another state disenfranchise our voters someday and overturn an election contrary to what my voters want.
So that kind of is an excellent explanation.
I'm impressed. Mr. Cramer, thank you for doing that. Since he was on the other day and I gave him such a hard time, I do want to commend him for standing for constitutional principles and not bowing to a mob rule.
So
I think that
go ahead, Andrea.
Thank you. I think it's interesting that Cramer's going to have a unique opportunity to object not to the Electoral College process as a whole, but each individual state as they come up. Because of the deliberate, slow process that Pence had started with the first few states, they're going to be examining each of them as they come up. And that's a different opportunity than objecting to the Electoral College as a whole or as an entire process. So my hope is that this will give the legislatures in Pennsylvania more time. That's exactly what they've asked for. The Pennsylvania legislature said we need more time in order to be able to take a hard look at this and make sure that we are sending the right votes for the Electoral College to Congress. And Georgia said roughly the same thing. So to give those states more time, challenging the Electoral College the way that is happening right now does exactly that. It gives those legislatures more time.
Sure, and we should also understand that since they broke away, they were supposed to both have their 2-hour hearings. The House was then cleared, so now everything has been emptied, and so they're not even there doing their debate because of the people that broke into the White House. Or excuse me, the Capitol.
And the bomb threats.
Yeah,
threats.
and since then, and I hadn't heard about the bomb threats till I got here, all of this stuff is just moving so rapidly, but so now they're not even doing what they're supposed to be doing, so we don't even know how long this can drag on. Will it drag on throughout the night, or do they have a deadline? Will they just start over tomorrow? As we're sitting here, I don't have the answer to that. Have you heard anything, Andrea?
My expectation is that when they are able to meet safely, they will reconvene. And when they reconvene, they'll finish their 2 hours of discussion on Arizona specifically before joining again in joint session and continuing down the list. And I expect there will be several other states contested as well. So as they reach each of those, there's another few hours at a time. And so this whole process could be quite a long one for them to get through all of the votes that have been cast or that need to be cast.
Well, I know that in the past they've worked into the night, but when it's something this big, do you think they'll say, okay, done at midnight, let's pick up at 7 a.m., or will they work? They can't, because what if it went on for 36 or 48 hours? Would it take that long if you have 6 states that are contesting it?
You could. I have no idea what they would choose to do, although they do have the inauguration day, so they have that as a deadline in the middle of the month. So for sure
they'll be done by then. I was thinking maybe it would take, maybe 2 days at tops to get through all of it.
It could be a long 2 days.
Yeah, it would be a very long 2 days. And along with that, you don't know what's going on the ground. If there's going to be more damage, more people breaking in, more people trying to disrupt it. And again, we don't know who the disruptors are at this point. We don't know if anyone's been arrested. I haven't heard any of that information yet. But we
do know that there's a massive security operation underway. They have to clear that Capitol building. They're bringing in the National Guard from Virginia to do so. So there's going to have to clear the building so that they can set up security once again in order for them to reconvene in the Capitol building.
I see. Okay. And things are moving along. Well, we also have, if we can take a quick shot of Senator Hoeven, he also had a statement. So it's basically the same thing. Under the Constitution, states are responsible for the elections, and that's where he's leaving it as well. It's pretty much the same statement as Armstrong as well as Kramer. So with that, that's the understanding. But I wanted to throw up this. This is the bus people. They're the people from North Dakota that went down there. They were visiting with Senator Kramer, and then they also said a prayer for him. And I think we have a shot of that. So here they are, all bowed and praying. And again, we just want answers. Are we trying to flip the election? No. We're trying to see if there was any fraud, and if indeed there was fraud, we need to call that out and call it what it is. And so we're going to be right back after these messages on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Howdy folks, it's a County Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hay Boston breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous County Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the County Line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
For the greatest selection and full menu offering, it's the Four Seasons Restaurant and Ice Cream Parlor in Garrison. Succulent sandwiches, big breakfasts served all day, and delicious desserts. Easy access in and out for campers and RVs. The Four Seasons Restaurant at the top of Main Street, Garrison.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Back. This day, it's just changing so quickly we can't even keep up. So during the break, well, we're going to talk about the Georgia Senate race, first of all, but then I just found out from Andrea that people have stormed the Georgia Capitol and the Kansas Capitol now, too.
Indeed, they have. So, and there are rallies happening across the United States. So they're storming capitals, not just in DC, now in Georgia and in Kansas as well.
I see. Okay. Well, so let's talk a little bit about the Georgia Senate race. You know, it was hotly contested and it was a runoff. And so the vote was yesterday, and so it ended last night, but then they didn't count the mail-in votes until after the actual vote, the in-person voting was done. But as of this morning now, it was too close to call, but then about noon, they went ahead and called it for both Democrats. Is it still standing there, Andrea? I don't even know, because I haven't seen the news now since about 1 o'clock.
As the last I saw, it's still standing at that point. They do have some mail-in ballots that haven't been counted, but I don't know what direction those are going to go. We did see the same trend. There are charts that you can find that show that same steady rise with the Republicans on top up until a point at which there's enough Democrat votes added in all at once for them to just eke out a win. So it's uncomfortable because it looks exactly the same as it did on November 3rd.
So from what you're seeing or learning from some of your sources, it looks like there's data dumping again. Is that what you're saying? Yes.
I'm saying that it looks the same. I'm saying, so how that happens is not something that, I mean, unless you're a programmer and you're able to examine that system up close, or a data scientist and looking at it, to figure out exactly why it's happening. That's the question that I think we all want an answer to. But we do see the same trend, and we see the same structure for the data. So it's either right in both cases or wrong in both cases, but either way, it looks the same in terms of an output for both elections.
And I know scanning the news before I came in, there's already groups and organizations saying that election was stolen. So here we go again. We don't have
And it all leads back to the Dominion
Georgia.
machines, and it is Georgia, and hotly contested. And by those two winning, then they take over, and so then the Democrats would have the House, the Senate, and potentially the presidency, and that's the way it's going to be. And if that is the case, and it looks like it is going to be the case, America is going to be different. You won't recognize America in another year. And I don't even know what to tell my kids. I do want to read this, though. This is from Carmen Sertola. She's one of our co-hosts, and she was happy to stay home today. And I'm going to read this. I just think it's so important because this is just another person. And she goes, I couldn't work the show today if I tried. I lost my son and was powerless to do anything about that. God has a plan for him and for all of us. I'll be damned if I lose my country without a fight, and God's will be done. On earth as it is in heaven, whatever that looks like, he's on the side of his truth in our world. I stand with him and his truth, crying many tears this morning with gratitude and heartache and everything in between. And so I think that's what a lot of Americans are feeling right now, just kind of a loss as to what does America look like? What is America going to look like?
How much worse could America get in the last 4 years? Our country has been shut down over a virus. Trump has had the ability to remove that emergency order. We've spent more money than
It's
Obama.
people by the states. The states have that power.
No, Trump has the power to remove the emergency order. He was the one who signed the declaration that shut our country down over a virus.
And the governors are supporting that.
But guess what? The governors wouldn't have any power if he removed that emergency order.
It's a state-by-state decision.
But the emergency order was signed by the president. He is funding China with the pharmaceutical industry. Okay, we're worried about Biden. We're worried about the left. He's funding China with warp speed. And we're like, how much worse can it get?
Let's get back to talking about Georgia. This segment is about Georgia. It always ends up being the vaccine.
You read Carmen's, and so I had a response. I think I can have a response here to what Carmen said.
And
All right,
there we have.
Thank you.
About Georgia.
Yes.
Right.
Let's get this back to Georgia, but yes,
it looked like Warnock was 51 to 49, and Ossoff and Perdue were about 50-50. And I'm not real familiar with the runoffs. I'm not. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a politician. I'm not an attorney. I'm just someone who loves to be involved.
But one of the things that seems to have happened in Georgia, and this is what we all need to be afraid of, is that people stayed home. They said, the heck with this. Now, unfortunately, there were people like Lynn Wood, who was fighting the election fraud, that told people to stay home because they said until they fix these machines, until they fix the process, we shouldn't be going out and voting. And other people said, wait a minute, we don't have time to fix it. We still need to turn out. And maybe if the election was so close, they haven't officially called it yet, but it is so close. And so for all the people that stayed home, that could have made all the difference in the world. And that's what we are afraid of. If they don't take a real look into this, and unless Americans feel like they can trust the system, this is what we have in the future with our elections. People are just going to give up.
There was a specific county in Georgia which had previously gone 3-1 for Trump, and their turnout this election was 15% less than it was in November. So those are people who are staying home because they're disenfranchised with the system, exactly like Patty says. So how do we fix the system?
We stop voting for tyrants. We stop voting for big government people.
But we have to get other people out there. I mean, what are our choices?
There are other parties. There's the Constitution Party. There's the American Party. I mean, if you look at the very few true liberty lovers we have in the White House, guess who attacked those people? Yes, Trump.
Okay, but Renee,
yes.
If you don't fix the system, if you don't fix the voting systems that we are using, how do you vote for a third-party candidate? You should look at Minnesota's results. Their votes for the third-party presidential candidate. If you want to know who had votes stolen, look at the third-party presidential candidates in Minnesota. They were gutted.
Yeah.
With these machines. So their counts are way lower than they should have been. So how
is the left stealing all of that?
Vote for somebody that you really believe in if the system's just going to change your vote anyway?
Yeah, we have to stand against evil, and we have to stand it against both parties. That is a solution.
But it's about voter fraud. It's about the fraud. We have got to investigate it. We have to right, and that it starts today, right here, right now.
It starts with each person.
Exactly.
Okay.
But you have to stand up to voter fraud. That's what we're talking about. Voter fraud. We're not talking about whether you love Trump or whether you hate Trump or whoever is in the office. It's about if this can be done to one person, it can be done to anybody, and we've seen that in Minnesota as well. And so it's also, this can happen on the local level. It isn't even about our federal level. It's about everything. And so that's what we're forgetting. We have got to stand up to the fraud. If he lost, he lost. We'll take it. We're not going to go ahead and burn down cities like the left does, that's for sure. I can guarantee that. But if there is fraud and it was stolen, that's where we have to stop this.
And you stop that. So serve on your election boards. If you want to know how the system works, volunteer. That's a paid position. It's one day. It's an election, and you can work the polls for election day, and then you'll at least better understand how the system works in your state. North Dakota doesn't use the same computer systems as the other states, but I understand it better because I have worked the polls. And having worked the polls, I understand the voter ID process in North Dakota and what's required. Other states
I worked the polls, not this past election, but the previous one. And so I have done that.
Yeah,
but I'm on the Capitol grounds. I've been to DC. I've lobbied in DC and here on the state Capitol grounds. I just don't know all the ins and outs. I know, when you're a jack of all trade but master of none, that's clearly me, because I you know enough about everything just to be dangerous, I guess, is how you would put it. I don't know if that's a good way to put it. But even,
I've worked the polls, but I'm not the insider. I don't know what to do. We feel helpless to investigate this fraud, and so we're looking to our representatives, and that's why people are storming the Capitol, because they're saying nobody is listening to us. We need to do something.
Yes. Some people think this is the start of a revolution. I just don't. Like I said, our country's going to look a lot different in another year. But we have to take a break now, and we're going to be right back after these messages on Ladies of Another View on BAT.
Howdy folks, it's the County Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous County Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here are terrific. We enjoy it.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Coulter Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best built, best backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, where you hear real news from real people. That's what we are. That's what we're here for. This is a segment that we like to call our lighter side. Today is a very heavy day. There's a lot of things going on, and I don't think it's ending anytime soon. But I want you to see this little clip just to kind of lift our spirits. Ouch. And so if that doesn't get you chuckling a little bit or brightening the day, there's nothing better than the laughing sound of a baby. I just absolutely love it. And you know, laughing is good for all of us. It's good for the brain, it's good for the heart, it brings endorphins out, it makes you just feel better. And so I just couldn't resist ending on something to lift our spirits and give us hope. And the clip is actually a set of twins, and so they just sat there and they giggled all afternoon. I mean, what better way to go through life than to just laugh and giggle?
I agree. That's great. Yeah, that's a good way. I would just like to give a quick shout out to who I voted for, Tom Huffling. He wrote this today: "It's time to do away with the political party system in America. That mindset, that extra constitutional framework has failed. It is destroying the republic. Vote principle, vote truth, vote devotion to the sacred oath, just to support and defend the Constitution and nothing else. If you believe in representative self-government and the candidates don't support what you believe, stop supporting them. It's that simple."
So much for the lighter side.
I thought that was
no,
very
that's
positive.
Not light. It's that
positive.
Kind of puts us right back to where we
No,
were.
no.
Okay, I'm going to be light.
That's positive.
But that's why we do it.
Light. Yeah, you know, this is happening under God's watch, and I just think it's so important because I'm fine talking about all the hard and difficult things, but we have to remember these are outside ourselves. We have to take care of the inside of ourselves. And so tomorrow I'm really excited about our guest, April Lund, because she's lost 100 pounds. She's trying out for the Olympics, and she once led a very dark life. You know, she was an addict and on cocaine and alcohol, and she's going to give us some real positive ideas for being uplifting, because on one hand we have to face reality. I don't believe in just being in la la land and, you know, laughing yourself sick, but you gotta laugh, you gotta be happy, you gotta find that joy too, and don't let the world bring you down, because there's always going to be difficulties in the world, and I mean, we got a lot going forward. I don't know what's going to happen exactly, but take care of yourself in the process too.
Absolutely. Andrea, you have what, 5 kids, 5 children?
4, but
4. Okay, it feels like 5.
They're all joy. They're
yes, but isn't it just great when you can see your kids and they're just enjoying each other and just the laughter and the joy? Like even during Christmas, when you hear the laughter and the joy coming from another room, I just think it's so uplifting. You must get a lot of that as a stay-at-home mom. I know you work from home. You're work from home, stay-at-home, lover of children, mother. I had to cover all that.
And host by remote.
and a remote host, absolutely.
And
that's why I do any of this. It's for them. So somebody had told me that the place that you are most needed is the place where you're irreplaceable. And for me, that's definitely at home. So I really enjoy spending time with my kids. And the real reason why I do any of the things that I'm involved in or that I care about is for them and for their futures. So I'm grateful to be involved in the things that I'm involved in, because I am doing it for them, and they see that. So it's good to set that example for them.
Sure, that's so sweet. Yeah, I had a couple great nephews at our place over Christmas, and you know, because my kids are older too. So it was just nice to have that, the innocence. You know, they don't care who the president is. It doesn't matter to them. But they have this innocence about them that if we could all get some of that back, it would be great. It certainly would. But we just popped up our address there. If you guys have any comments, or if you want a topic that you want us to discuss, we're more than happy to go ahead and answer any questions, answer any emails. We have a Facebook page as well, but just join in and be part of the conversation. We'll try to answer questions as they come up. We do get fan mail and some not so family mail.
And that's okay too.
And that's okay too,
We're fine
because
with
we're
that.
not all supposed to
handle
have the
it.
same opinion.
Yeah.
Mary,
But,
I have a funny story for you.
Okay.
So my kids yesterday I was sitting down at work in my office here, and I heard what sounded like contractors outside discussing something and chit-chatting, and I'm sitting here confused because I don't have any contractors over right now. And I look outside, and it's my 3 sons. They're all sitting out here talking to each other. They've grown up so much that they sounded like adults. I was so confused.
Aww. So what ages are they again, Andrea, for the viewers?
They are 15, 14, and 12.
Awesome. And what a great group, you know, for boys that age to get along and just be bonding and sitting there, just shooting the breeze out on a patio in Florida, mind you. So that does make it a lot easier than sitting on a North Dakota patio. But we have about a minute left of our entire show, and this is where we kind of give our final thoughts. And you each have maybe about 20 seconds. Or why don't we start with you, Andrea, because you're remote.
Well, there's a lot going on. Definitely watching things. I'm looking forward to hearing what you all have to discuss tomorrow on Ladies of Another View. And I'm sure that people are going to want to stay tuned for our other shows later today as things continue to develop.
Right. It is developing as we speak. You got just a few words, just 10 seconds?
I want to applaud you for homeschooling. I know you're a homeschooler, and I want to applaud all the homeschoolers out there. That's a big part of changing our country also.
And so, yes.
5 seconds?
5 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, come back tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely. We want to thank you for joining us today, where you get real news from real people. Right here, Ladies of Another View on Beck.